In this lesson, we are going to look at percentages in a slightly different way. Instead of talking about the percent of a different value, we're going to look at the percent change. A patient's fasting glucose level decreased from 140 milligrams per deciliter to 115 milligrams per deciliter. What percentage did it decrease? In this case, we're still going to be using the same equation, part over a whole times 100, but we first have to define what the part and whole are. So when we look at part, what it really is going to be is the amount of decrease for this problem. So anytime we're talking about a percent change, the amount of change will always be the part in our equation. The whole will always be the original amount. Where did it start and where did it go from there? So the whole is always the original amount. It doesn't matter whether the original amount is smaller or larger than the final amount. We always start with the original amount as our whole number. The first thing we need to do is find the value for the part. So we take the difference in the two amounts that are given. So part equals 140 minus 115 milligrams per deciliter, and we get that it's 25 milligrams per deciliter is that part. That's the amount it decreased. Then we plug it into our equation, so percent equals 25, which is our part, over the whole, which remember is our original amount, which was 140 milligrams per deciliter, times 100, and we find that the percent decrease is 18%. A patient is receiving methadone, 40 milligrams a day, split in 2 doses. The dosage is dropped by 10% after 2 weeks. What is the new amount in milligrams per dose? So when we're looking at a percent change, our part is going to be the amount of change. In this case, it's also an amount of decrease. The whole is going to be the original amount. And in this case, we know the percentage, we don't know the amount of decrease. So we have 10% equals x over 40 times 100, and we find that x equals 4 milligrams per day. So this is the amount of decrease per day. So we take our original dose, which was 40 milligrams per day, we subtract the decrease of 4 milligrams per day, and we find that the final dosage is 36 milligrams per day. Note that this total amount per day was split into 2 doses, and the question is asking what is the new amount in milligrams per dose. And so we need to divide that 36 milligrams per day by 2, and we end up with 18 milligrams per dose.